All right, welcome to those of you just joining. Your Do Now is a form on Google Classroom that will help me put you guys into groups for like the rest of this term. Um, and then you're also renaming yourself, so last name and then first name. I have 7 responses, and there are 22 of you here, so I need 15 more people to respond. Okay, up to 8. 9. Okay, welcome to the person who just joined. Do Now is on Google Classroom, and you're also renaming yourself. I'm at 13 responses. I'm up to 14. And how many? There's 24 of you, so I'm still missing 10 people. I'm at 19, so I'm going to give you 1 more minute, and then we're going to move on. All right. Okay. So I think I messed up the slides. 1 second. All right. So we're going to do one of these Slido polls. I think we did some of them last week. So you're going to use your phone, and you're either going to scan that QR code, or you're going to go to slido.com and enter pound symbol M805. And I want you to think about, what is biodiversity? So this is something you should have learned in freshman year bio, or potentially in middle school. But what is biodiversity? If you don't remember, what do you think those words mean? Okay, so what do you think biodiversity means or refers to? Okay, diversity in an ecosystem, amount of different species, diversity among species, different species, study of bio but diverse. Okay, different species in an area. We only had 9 people respond, and there's 25 of you. Okay, a lot of good responses. We're at 13, but I'm still missing 12 people's responses. Okay, I'm at 18, still missing 8 people. Okay, all right. So up to 19, so I'm going to move on now. All right, so today we're doing some notes, but then also some activities. So please get out your notebook. I know I didn't have that on the slide at the start, but grab your notebook, and then you're going to write this down. So to understand ecosystems is to understand species interactions. The most common type of interaction is competition over limited resources. And this competition has led to an arms race in the natural world, which is key to helping us understand the idea of biodiversity. Sorry, guys. Okay, I'm going to give you 30 more seconds with this slide, and then we're going to move on. Okay, 5 seconds. All right. So biodiversity is also known as, or we can think of it as biological diversity. So it's the variety of life on Earth. When there's more biodiversity, there's more resistance to disturbances. And biodiversity has 3 different levels that we measure it on. We measure habitat diversity, genetic diversity, and species diversity. So go ahead and copy this down too. The Earth has an incredible amount of biodiversity across the tree of life. And the tree of life shows us how organisms are related. And this variety of life ranges from bacteria to blue whales. Scientists use a system called taxonomy to organize the millions of species in order to better understand their relationships. This system of organization involving classifying species into involves classifying species into taxonomic groups, which are called taxa, or singular is taxa. A taxon is a taxonomic group of any rank, such as species, family, or class. We're going to be diving more into biodiversity to explore what scientists have already discovered, the number of species they estimate exist, and the species that have been observed locally. So take another minute with this slide, and then we're going to move on. Six seconds, guys. All right, so that is time there. This is already on Google Classroom too, so if you miss anything, you can go there. So what we're going to do now, you're going to think about local biodiversity. And I've created a Jamboard, and you're going to go to the Jamboard and put up a post-it for each organism you can think of that belongs to that taxon. So here's our Jamboard, and I'll put the link in the chat too. So the link is in the chat for the Jamboard. So what I want you to do is think about any local organisms, and you can throw their names up. So invertebrates. Invertebrates are organisms without backbones. So anything like in the Boston area that you've thought of. Then we have chordates. Chordates means phylum Chordata, so they have backbones. So vertebrates, basically. Then we have plants. We then have fungi. Fungi being like mushrooms and things. Chromista. So this is a new one that did not exist when I was in college. So chromista are basically algae, so single-celled algae that do photosynthesis. And then protista, so normally single-celled but need to obtain energy through eating other organisms normally. So what you're going to do is on any one, you're going to go and you're going to throw up a Post-it with organisms that you know. And it's okay if someone else has already posted the same one. So you're totally fine to put up the one that someone else has done, but I'm going to give you 4 minutes to do this. So I'm going to go back to the timer, and you have 4 minutes to do this, okay? If you have questions, put them in the chat. But make sure you put your name on it, and everyone is expected to put up at least one Post-it. Well, no, 2. You guys should be able to come up with 2 organisms. So right now, you're putting up Post-its, and you're putting up at least 2 Post-its. Not for each board, but just 2 Post-its total. If you can think of that many, yes, but minimum is 2 total. So you could be like 2 vertebrates or 2 plants. If you can think of 2 for each, that's awesome. To be honest, I don't think I can think of 2 for Chromista, because that's a category that honestly, yeah, did not exist before, so. So 2 more minutes. A little under a minute. Oh no, I didn't mean to restart it. All right, so let's look at the Jamboard together. Okay, so chordates. All right, so different things we've seen here. So snake, birds, frogs, coyotes, humans, fish, dogs, cats, fish, wolves, reptiles, rainbow trout, largemouth bass. Nice. Okay, plants. Stinging nettle, sunflower, flowers, palm trees, bushes, cactus, dandelions, Venus flytrap, pine trees, more cactus. Okay, fungi, moss, yeast, mold, mushrooms, mildew, mold. Nice. Algae? Yes, algae, yeah. Yara does fit in here. I know, it's a weird category. And protists, yeah. I would have been surprised if anyone put any protists down. It's a rough category. Euglenia is a protist. Yeah, that's the only one that comes to the top of my mind. Okay. So in the chat, you're going to respond to these questions. So which organisms occur more than once? So we're suggested by more than one student. Does the number and proportion of student examples reflect the true number and proportion of species we would expect to see in a local area? So based on this, do you, like, we had the most responses for chordates. Oh, wait, I skipped inverts. Sorry, there's inverts. Okay. All right. Okay. So we had a decent number of inverts, and the chordates were probably equal, and then plants, then fungi. So do you think in nature that it really is that plant, or like there's an equal number of vertebrates and invertebrates, and then plants, or do you think one category would have more? And would we expect our examples to be, actually skip number 3. Just answer questions 1 and 2 in the chat. Okay, there's 26 of you, so you should all be responding because I'm going to be saving the chat and going through it to check on your comments to make sure that people were responding and participating. Because if you're just tuning into the Zoom and going back to sleep, that's no good, and you're not learning. Okay, so if you want to, you can private message me or just put your answers in general in the chat. Okay, good. It looks like most people have answered question 1, so please move on to question 2. So do you think that it reflects the true number and proportion? So there's equal number of invertebrates to vertebrates. Here's one of my vertebrate pets here. Actually, I don't have any invertebrate pets now. I had some. I had some Madagascar hissing cockroaches for a bit, but they died. Oh, nice. I mean, I have super worms and wax worms and mealworms, but those are not pets. Those are just food for the pets, so. Yeah, so yeah, and mealworms basically start to go through metamorphosis at like certain temperatures. Superworms do not, and superworms actually can eat through plastic too. So they've looked at them as ways to like help break down plastic because they're able to process plastic and styrofoam, which is bizarre and creepy. Yeah, but awesome. Yeah. Uh, mm-hmm. Yep, which is like what makes them super cool. And that's, I think, a high school student actually did a project on that where they had them breaking down different materials to look at them as like to help make things or like break down those man-made materials. So I'll have to see if I can find that project because it was cool. All right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, super helpful. Awesome. So I see a lot of people say no, they don't really think so. Um, okay. All right. I'll copy these questions in the chat and then we're going to move on to the next slide. So just if you didn't get a chance to respond to them, you need to in order to get credit for today. Okay. All right. So species biodiversity. Species biodiversity is what most people think of when they hear the term biodiversity. And it's the number and abundance of the different kinds of species living in an ecosystem. And ecosystems with more species are more likely to recover from disturbances. So that means, well, actually, I'm just going to open it up to you guys. What do you think could be possible disturbances? And you can put it in the chat or say it out loud. Yeah, good. Was that Kiara? Or who was that? I don't. Okay. Yes. So, like, a hurricane could be one. What else? Like, what is happening in California right now? Yes, Ariana, forest fires. So, those could be disturbances. Yes. Yeah. So, yeah, natural disasters, basically. However, sometimes it could be natural, it could also be human caused. So, like, a human disturbance could be. Oh, Daisy. Sorry, my cat has my sweater in her claws. A human disturbance could be when we're going through and doing construction in an area and wiping it out. So, if you think about on Columbus Avenue, right past, I think it's Whittier, like, there's that little, like, there's a fenced in area where there's a lot of artwork on it right now, and it's like the gun artwork about like gun violence. But in that fenced in area, it's being cleared out, and it used to be a lot of like overgrowth. So like that, like it being cleared out, that's a disturbance. Sorry. I'm gonna give you 45 more seconds with this one. Seven seconds. All right. Moving on. How many species do you think there are on Earth? Okay, so once again, you're going to do a poll. So either using your QR code scanner or going to slido.com. So how many species, how many different kinds of species do you think there are on Earth? I like the LOL. I'm guessing it's just because LOL. I have no idea. I'm guessing. Totally fine. This is a guess, okay? I don't expect you to be like, oh, I know exactly how many there are. I mean, if you do, that's amazing, but I'm not expecting you to. Okay, so I'm at 13 responses, and there's 25 of you, so 12 more of you need to respond. You guys are funny. Okay, I'm at 17. I'm missing 8 people right now. I know it's early, but this is not, I mean, this is a low stakes question. I don't see your name. You're just putting up your guess. Okay, I'm at 20. Good. I'm missing 5 people right now. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to do this. All right. So, millions, 123,456,789 species, like that. Billions, 8 millions, billions. All right. Okay. So, species biodiversity. Just what is a species? So, a species can interbreed and produce viable offspring. Scientists have identified and cataloged 2 million species, and the estimates of the total number on Earth range from 5 to 100 million. So, it's a pretty big range. And the most common estimate is 10 million. So, dogs. If we think about dogs, there's a lot of varieties of dogs out there. So, like, we could think about a small little dog like a dachshund versus like a big dog like say a Newfoundland, which are those like big black or big brown ones that weigh like 200 pounds. They're still the same species because theoretically they could breed and produce offspring. It would not happen unless there was actual like humans helping with that and like in vitro fertilization or something, but they are the same species. However, a dog and a cat cannot breed. They are not the same species. Um, have any of you ever heard of different organisms that like have been mated together by humans? Like different species? Justin, what's an example of one that you've heard of? Good. So a liger is a lion and tiger hybrid. There's also Tylons. So for some, with them, I think it depends on what species the mother is versus the father, and it gets a different name. But with them, those are not real species because they cannot reproduce. So ligers are unable to reproduce to have offspring. Has anyone heard of any other species like that? Yes. Well, so a mule. So a donkey and a horse. So a female horse, which is called a mare, and then a male donkey can reproduce to form a mule. So mules are bigger than donkeys and less stubborn, but they cannot reproduce. So every mule has to have a horse for a mother and a donkey for a father. So donkeys are species, but mules are not. Ooh, tiger trout. I've not heard of that one. And Sam, they can't reproduce? Ah, that's good to know. Okay, that's really awesome. Um, an invasive species is something we'll talk about later on this unit too, as well as more throughout the year, but an invasive species is something that's not native, that's invading an area and often outcompetes the native species. All right, I'm going to give you like 30 more seconds with this slide, and then we're going to move on. Yeah, Kiara, they would not be able to. And that's, so ligers don't exist in nature because tigers and lions don't overlap. So like they are like people who have them in zoos or whatever, like sometimes do this, like not good zoos, bad zoos do this, but they are not like able to reproduce. Same with a llama. No, comma. So a comma is a camel and llama mix. I remember they did that when I was in middle school maybe. So commas are llama and camel mixes, and they are not able to reproduce. Okay. They do. They exist for spectacle, Justin, and for humans to feel like we are God, basically. All right. So, did I do another one? Okay. All right. So how do you think the species are distributed across the taxa? Equally or one group having more than others? So you're going to answer that question here. No, you're going to answer it here. It says join the quiz. It only says that because I only get 3 open answer ones. And so it's not a real quiz. The polls, I only get 3 of each slideshow. So I had to do a quiz now in order to be able to ask another question. So you're going to start by typing your name. So like I just scanned, I'm typing my name, and I'm joining. And then your name will pop up, okay? Oh, sorry. Okay, we're at 14 people. Once again, there's 27 of us total, and I'm in this one, so we should have 27 people joining. Okay, we're only missing 11 right now. I'm going to give people 30 seconds, and then I'm going to start calling you out. Okay, we're at 23. 15 more seconds before people start getting called out. Okay, all right, I'm going to start calling people out. Let's see who is missing. Tamarin, I don't see your name. It's tough because people's names go out of order. Ariana, I don't see your name. Okay, yep, those are the 2. All right. Okay. Okay. All right, you should still be able to join in after this one too, okay? So what group do you think has the most identified species? Invertebrates, chordates, plants, fungi, chromista, or protista? Once again, not a real quiz question. I just am not ready to pay for this yet. Because I paid for other things already this year for distance learning, so. Okay, so inverts and plants are what people think have the most. And Chromista, well, no, I don't think Chromista is not the correct one. I don't know why it's showing that. Yeah, I think I checked it wrong. It was supposed to be, well, I'll show you a graph actually in a moment, so sorry. Okay, what group do you think is the least identified species? Oh, now I know what happened. So what do you think has the least identified species? If you're paying attention, I just sort of gave a clue. Good, you guys were paying attention, most of you. So yes, so Chromista is the one. I forgot that I copied this slide because I was trying to not have to re-enter all the choices, and I forgot to like fix which one was correct. So Chromista. Okay, so scientifically described species. So these are the species that have been described by scientists. So 72% of described species are invertebrates, followed by plants at 17%, then fungi, then chordates, then protists, and then Chromista. Did I put a question? Okay. All right, and here's another question. So do you think this graph is likely an accurate representation of total estimated species? So based on what they estimated, do you think that's likely how it actually is in nature, or do you think it could be different? Okay, so most people are saying no. Okay, so on the left is the estimated species, and then on the right is the scientifically described. So what do you notice? So go ahead and put it in the chat. So what do you notice are like similarities or differences? Okay. Nice. I see some really good noticings from I think 7 people so far. So thank you to those 7 of you. Mm-hmm. Yes, Sam. Hold on. Wait. Yes. That's a video you're watching tonight for homework, Sam. There's a video. You're going to watch a video tonight for homework, and it actually says that in it. It's from Ants to Grizzlies. Have you watched it before? Okay. All right. So I see. I have not heard that. I would not be surprised to hear that though. Like there's more beetles, more species of beetles than there are species of vertebrates. Like it's crazy. Inverts rule the world. All right, I only have 13 responses in the chat, and there's 26 of you, so I'm still missing 13 people who didn't respond and put this in the chat. Okay, so I'll give you another 30 seconds, and I'm going on to the next slide. Yeah, no, Kiara, I mean, the number of organisms that could be in the ocean that we have no idea about, definitely. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I mean, I didn't discover any like new species or anything, but I definitely saw a lot of really cool creatures that, I mean, I haven't dove like super deep. In the aquarium I worked at was like a coral reef one, so a lot of it is well known. But I mean, there's so many things out there and like so many cool organisms. All right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, one of the aquariums I worked at, I would dive in our predator tank because I had to clean it. And so we had black tip reef sharks in there. We had a nurse shark. We had leopard sharks too. And the leopard sharks actually were a breeding pair and they had babies. And I had one baby like hatch in my hand the one day from its egg pouch. And then we put their babies in like one of our tanks that I would have to walk in to clean. And the babies would like bump up into you with their noses. They were adorable. Nope, I mean they're just not aggressive. So most sharks are not aggressive. Great whites are super aggressive, but otherwise great whites and tiger sharks. But most shark species are not that aggressive towards humans. So, right, yeah. That's I mean most shark attacks that happen are because the sharks think that the humans are prey. So surfers get attacked because a surfer on a surfboard looks like a seal from underneath. So that's why surfers are like at a higher risk as opposed to like other people out there. It's how they've evolved to survive. It's evolution. Survival of the fittest. Okay. So I'm going to throw you guys into a breakout room with a partner, and you're going to have 10 minutes to work on a worksheet that is on Google Classroom. So the worksheet is called 1026 Monday Classwork, Species, Richness, and Evenness. So I'm going to put you in your breakout rooms, and I'll pull you back at 9:29, okay? And these are just going to be random ones with, actually, I'll put you in a room with, so it'll be a group of 3 people. Okay. There'll be one group of 4, I think. Or maybe not. Okay. All right, rooms are open. Okay, Ariana, Evan, Angie, Hui, you guys okay? Ariana and Hui? Huey? Hi guys. How's it going? Well, that's good. I like the great. I feel like I don't get it often. I also don't say it often. So, do you guys have any questions? Okay. If you do have questions, please just ask for help, okay? Yeah. Hi guys. How's it going? Okay. All right. Well, any questions as you're getting started? Okay. You or Angie, either of you have questions? Do you have any questions? Okay. All right. Well, if you do, just ask for help. Hi, everyone. How's it going? Okay. Any questions? Okay. All right. I'm going to pull everyone back in 4 more minutes, okay? Hi, guys. How's it going? You say pretty easy? Okay. All right. I'm going to be pulling you guys back in like 3 minutes, okay? Hi, ladies. How's it going? Okay. Cool. I'll be pulling you guys back in a few minutes, okay? Any questions? Okay. Hi, guys. How's it going? Okay. Any questions? All right. Lewis, you good? Okay. I'm going to be pulling you guys back in like a minute or two, okay? Hi, guys. How's it going? Okay. Sam and Luis, how are you guys doing? Okay. Sam, you're doing okay? I don't know if he froze. Sam, did you freeze? Okay. I was like, I don't feel like you normally respond much quicker, so okay. Okay. Nature. All right. Well, I'm gonna give you guys like another minute, and then I'm gonna close breakout rooms. Okay. Oh, that's awesome, Sam. Sam, do you live in JP or what neighborhood do you live in? Okay. I was like, it's either JP or like West Roxbury with the nature. So nice. All right. Oh, that's amazing. All right. Yeah, crazy. All right. I'm gonna leave you guys, and I'll be pulling you back in 1 minute. Okay. Crown Marcellus. Lewis Taylor Andy. Ariana Fatima. Triana Evan. All right. So just I think this is where I'm gonna start. Okay. So just in your notebook, copy this down. I know it was on the worksheet, but I want you to have it in your notebook too. So richness is the total number of species in an area, and evenness is a comparative or a measure of the comparative abundance of all species in an ecosystem. So species richness, how many total species are there? That's it. Just we can say like in this ecosystem there's 50 species, in that ecosystem there's 5. But evenness is what tells us how evenly distributed those species are. Because if an ecosystem has only if an ecosystem has 5 species and each one has like 50 individuals, it has a pretty high biodiversity. But if an ecosystem has 5 individuals, But in 4 of those species groups, there's only 1 individual, then it does not have a high biodiversity. So for the 2 people who just rejoined, we're just taking notes on this slide. Okay, I'm going to give you 30 more seconds with this slide. All right. So, I'm going to have, this one was basically from the worksheet. So which community has greater biodiversity? And you're going to answer using Slido on the next slide, but it won't show you the picture. So look at the picture to decide which one has higher biodiversity, community 1 or community 2. So you're ready for the next slide. All right. Okay. So which community has greater biodiversity, community 1 or community 2? Oh, that was a fast timer. I switched up. So yes, community 1. So when we look back, community 1 because the species has a greater species evenness. Okay. Next one, which community has greater biodiversity? Once again, this is going to be a fast one, I think, because I didn't adjust the timer. So either community A or community B. All right. Okay. All right, so which community has greater biodiversity, A or B? Okay, community B was the correct answer there. Oh, nice, Jada. Followed by Taylor and Quinn and Justin and Jenny. Nice. All right, which ecosystem has the greatest biodiversity? And I think this is one you can just put in the chat because I did not make a Slido for this. So which one of those 4 has the greatest biodiversity? A, B, C, or D? Awesome. I think I've had like 14 people respond and everyone has said D. Good. Nice. Okay, so yes, D is the most biodiverse one. All right, that's where we are stopping for today. Your homework for tonight on Google Classroom, there is an ed puzzle. I've noticed a lot of you don't do the ed puzzles. They are great. If you have trouble with them, let me know. There is an app that you can download for your phone. The one for tonight, the video is about 17 minutes. And then there's questions, multiple choice questions throughout it. Reminder, you need to get at least a 60% to get full credit. Anyone have any questions? So I will see you again on Wednesday. If you have questions in between now and then, email me. But otherwise, I hope you have a good day, and I will see you on Wednesday. You too. Bye, everyone.